Hello, everyone.
Woo!
Hey.
That was a weird delay. I actually pressed on it, and it looked like it was doing it, and then nothing happened. But you know what? We did our best. That's our live in front of a studio audience. In any case, we're here with Quantum Leap Revisited, our weekly show where we go over and discuss classic episodes of Quantum Leap. And as usual, I have a wonderful panel of gentlemen with me. To my right, I have the real Sean Krummel. The real Sean Krummel is an artist. He has his own sticker collection, which you can find on Etsy, and it is at realseankrummelart.etsy.com. He also has his own YouTube channel, The Real Sean Krummel, where he talks about pop culture. He also does some drawing and does retro comic book reviews, so you should check out that channel. Next, we have the Script Doctor. The Script Doctor, he is a veteran screenwriter. He has his own Patreon where he teaches screenwriting and guides people in that field. In addition, he has his own YouTube channel where he has a lot of interesting videos, including a weekly show called Scripts on Saturdays, where he and a guest analyze and discuss screenplays that are either being considered now or in the past were considered by big studios, and he evaluates how good or bad they are and what his opinions are about them. It's a great show. I've been on that a few times. How's it going, Script?
It's going well. Happy to be here.
Happy to see you again as usual. And finally, we have the Backyard Tardis, also known as Nick. Nick, for those of you who don't know, he is a minister in his local church. He is also in his town, the local locksmith. He also works with the sheriff and with the fire department, and he has his own ranch with goats. Just recently, his goats had more goats. If that makes sense. They gave birth more.
We've got babies.
Now he has baby goats in addition to the regular goats, because I guess this is the season of goats giving birth to more goats. How's it going, Nick?
Yes.
Oh, and
going okay.
Before I forget, he has two YouTube channels. One is called Adventures in Locksmithing, where he talks about his adventures on the job. The other one is called Backyard Tardis, which he talks about science fiction and things like that. You should check out his channels. How's it going, Nick?
Going good, but crazy. It's as always. So I'm just glad that we've made the stream and here to talk some Quantum Leap with you guys.
And we're happy to see you here. And I think that we should just jump into our episode. I should have it here somewhere, and I am going to share the screen. And hopefully it'll work. Also, nice to see everybody here in the chat. If you see Ro in the chat here, he had something come up. He's going to try to join us at some point, and the second I see him, I'll obviously bring him in if it works. But in the meantime, we are going to check out the video itself. Now, I think this is big, right? Like, it's not small, the video now. Right?
Well, I mean, it's covered. No, now it's big. Yeah.
No, it's big. Yeah.
It wasn't big before?
No,
it is now.
As Rose says, even though he's not here, bigger is necessarily better. In any case, we start here. There's the logo. There's the extended opening. We're not going to be seeing this extended opening for long, so enjoy it while you can see it. And, of course, he arrives. He's stepping out of a house, and he has...
he's getting ready to leap off and do the triple.
Yes. It's a good thing he got over his fear of heights, because now he's climbing down the ladder off this roof with a basket in hand.
That's true. And I think he never had a fear of heights again. So he
miraculous.
The basket there, and then he's like, well, why are you putting the basket in back? They drive, and turns out that there's a baby, and he's like, oh boy. And then
it's a girl.
Girl, sorry. And then
it's good that he wasn't more haphazard with that basket, given that he didn't know what was in it.
Well, that's why it's funny when he puts it in the pickup bed.
Yeah.
And now,
it'd be funny if you just toss the basket like, "You catch this!" Freaking out.
She screams. Ah!
and we have Ro with us. Ro, I was just telling people that you said that bigger is necessarily better.
It depends on who you ask, I guess.
How's it going, Ro? Ro, since I do all the introductions here, Ro is the host of the Scarif podcast. It's on all services, Amazon, Spotify, and Apple. And you should check it out because he does his podcast thing. What's up, Ro?
How you doing? Sorry, I'm late.
It's okay. It's okay. And he's the co-founder of the Red 5
crazier.
Network, the best network of podcasters ever that was ever assembled, and he's in charge of all of them. So back to the stream, we're looking at the thing. It's called Maybe Baby. It's taking place in March 11th, 1963. It has Julie Brown in it, who she was in a lot of stuff, especially she's been on a lot of stuff throughout the years, and as Script explained to me, there's people that consistently work and do things. But I think that kind of a lot of people, when they think of her, think of a lot of stuff kind of in the 80s that she did. I certainly remember her from some stuff then, 80s, 90s, but she is working constantly, and I've always liked her. So there's that. And then, interestingly, and this, I'm not looking at the comments, but it wouldn't surprise me if Tex Rogers probably is already writing this. Paul Brown is her brother, and he's one of the producers of the show, and they actually wrote this episode together. So
I saw that, yeah.
So that was actually
Tex brought that out.
He brought it up. I knew he would. I knew it.
Yep.
So I wasn't even looking at the chat, and I'm like, Tex is probably writing this now. This is directed by Michael Zinberg. It's interesting because the name Michael Zinberg does pop up here and there. It seems like a director that they used quite a few times during the series. I'm not sure if he's still with us. You know what I mean? But I guess he was a guy that worked a lot on the show. Anyhow, they're here and they're with the baby, and I think that Sam doesn't fully understand what he's doing here, where he's going, but I think that he imagines at this point that the baby belongs to Julie Brown.
Yes, that's the premise so far.
Right. So he's
he's hoping. He he's asking her questions because he's a little worried.
Right, but he at least hopes that the baby is hers. That's what he's going with, because. And then you have the father.
She said that it was hers, right? And he has no reason to doubt her.
And then it's the father here, and seemingly it seems like they just stole his baby, and he's like, "I need this baby found." And they go.
Add that to the complete show where we're going to put together and edit all of your impersonations.
Man, I can't wait for the end of the series, and we just do a clip show. It's just like a montage of all of Price's voices.
Well, great. I would say there's one anachronism with this episode, and that is the deputy. You'd be hard pressed to find an officer of the law that big in 1963, because that level of obesity did not exist in North America. That wasn't found in a circus. It just
That's
didn't.
True.
Which is funny because he was one of the clowns in Batman Returns. One of the
he was killed by the Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And then
so sincere.
It's just funny that you have this deputy sheriff who is literally the size of two adult men.
No, I agree. It isn't common. Just so you know, there was something that I saw this maybe a few months ago where somebody put old footage of just a camera that was put on the street and people were walking back and forth, just kind of like as if you'd film from your cell phone camera today, just people walking back and forth on the street. Mm-hmm. And I think it was in New York City, and everybody was super skinny. Like you didn't see one person that was overweight or obese or anything. you couldn't find one. They were just walking back and forth. They all looked like exactly the weight they should be. Something certainly changed over time when it came to obesity. So I'm not discrediting what you're saying, Scripted. I think it's true.
Yeah. There's actually just recently a friend of mine posted archival footage of Toronto in the late 1920s, and you see all the people there. They're just average looking. Their waist is between 30 and 35 inches. All walking around, and you see how many buildings actually have survived the last century from Toronto to now. I was actually quite surprised by that. But yes, to back to the story of Quantum Leap, where Sam and this girl named Bunny are on the run with Christy, the baby.
Right.
I just typed in Google, when did people start getting fat? And it tells me 1976 to 1980.
It's nice that that was the years. Yeah, I guess too much McDonald's or something.
So when Carter got
that'll do it.
When the peanut farmer became president of the United States, that's when the North America started getting fat.
Now, I want to ask Ro, because you're the fellow dad on here. Were you just because it made me nervous watching this baby loose, because I'm like, this is going to have a high-speed car chase, and they're going to have a baby just in their lap.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why. It just made me nervous.
Absolutely. No car seat. Babies just flinging around all over the place in that front seat there. That's one of the reasons, and we'll get to it, one of the reasons I just don't like episodes with babies, because I think 80% of this episode was taking care of the baby.
Yeah,
that motel is amazing. By the way, I hope that sign still exists.
I love that sign. It's a great sign. I wonder if it was like a stock thing, or they actually found a motel that does that.
Probably.
I would hope that it's real.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Like you said, I hope that they still have it with this sign. In any case, they show up, and then she leaves him with it, and
because they need milk. They didn't pack any milk.
Right. They didn't pack milk. She needs to go get milk, but now he's left with her. And
this scene took way too long.
Yeah.
I'll give you that, Ro. I'll give you that. It kind of took a long time that she's peeing on him, and then I don't know what, he's talking too much and doing all this stuff. And then let me see.
Al shows up.
He looks like, and he's like, oh, look, I'm a beefcake or whatever. And then Al shows up, and Al's like, she can see me, Sam. All the little kids and animals can see me.
Right.
And
what am I doing
blonde with really low IQ.
Yeah.
Right. And blonde
that was a great line.
That was a good line. At least Al managed to give a save here, even though I agree that the scene kind of stretched out. But then at this point, Sam's like, oh, I smell something. He's like, I can't smell anything. I'm a hologram. So then he goes over and he's like, oh, I need to get diapers. He's like, Sam, they didn't invent diapers in 1963, like disposable, whatever it is. You're going to have to use the pillow.
So Al got a little woke here talking about the environment and disposable diapers.
That was weird. He's like, yes, I hate that invention. It's not good for the environment. It was kind of weird.
Building it up for years.
I'll put it to you this way: landfills are never really great for the environment either, but those were happening long before disposable diapers.
Oh yeah,
true. But what's funny is that, like, back in the day, this was like the version of woke you got from Hollywood then, where some character would just say some weird sentence. That was the most DEI you'd get. Today, it's a lot more
DEI. Yeah, like that's just being because again, the late 80s, early 90s was really big on combating pollution because it was legit a problem, especially in LA.
Right.
Because I've seen I was in LA as a young child, but I don't remember it much because I was a kid. But I have video footage and pictures of the horizon of LA, and all it is just gray smog with buildings protruding through it. When I started returning in 2006 and on, it was clear and beautiful. I'm like, that's a good thing. That's progress in the right direction, and that's about as far as you have to really go.
Well, I recently was driving through LA on my way to Arizona, and we couldn't see the hills. It's still smoggy there. Yeah.
Well,
Too
is
many
it
people.
smog or- I mean,
Is it
listen,
smoggy or
weird.
is it? Sorry.
Is it smoggy or is it fog? Because they've had some rain recently, and that causes.
No, it was smog.
When my wife and I left that state over a year now ago, we broke the weather. Well, like the day before, like the night before when we were leaving, it snowed in Burbank, so the mountains were covered. And then I swear, like as soon as we left, they just started getting like it was raining long enough for us, or it was raining when we were moving. It stopped long enough for us to put stuff on the truck, and then it started pouring again. And then we had bad weather in front of us and behind us the entire drive across the United States. It was just insane. And then they had like flooding. The river actually filled up, and like I swear we broke the state of California when we left.
Yeah, because I'm surprised you get smog out there with so many people with the hybrid electric cars driving throughout most of the downtown areas. Like, what's putting that out there?
I lived in LA when I was a kid for a few years, and I actually didn't notice there was any smog. It all seemed great to me, but I was rather young.
I had friends that I used to work with that said they grew up in LA and they had smog days where they were not allowed to go outside because the pollution was so bad. Nick!
And his goat.
His mitosis goat.
Oh, wow. Is that a goat?
It is definitely a goat that he's feeding with milk.
Yes,
Just like
bottle time.
It's kind of like a meta aspect to this episode.
Yeah.
Well, I have to shine a light on this. Usually we don't do breaks, but Nick's sitting with a goat. I think that's worth it.
Totally.
Because we always talk about the goats, but
here's proof. We're not just
he really does. He really does have a ranch with goats, and now, like I said before, the goats have given birth to new goats, and here he is.
Well, and so this one ended up having to be done through C-section, so the mama never bonded with it, so we're bottling it.
Oh. So Nick is effectively also, in addition to all of the hats that he wears, he's also
a goat dad.
A mama, a goat dad, yes.
A midwife for goats, yeah.
a mid father for a mid husband for goats.
The chat is going crazy for the goat.
It's every 4 hours, so we all pitch in, we all take turns.
Everybody's really impressed.
Does it have a name?
This is Quintessa.
Quintessa.
Is the mother with the C-section? How is she doing? Like, is she all patched up and able to walk again? Or okay.
Yep. Oh, she is. Yeah, she just will make everybody uncomfortable. She didn't dilate, so she couldn't give birth. And we actually thought that Quintessa was lost, and then we had to run her down to the vet, get that done. That's why I missed last week. And then they're like, "Oh no, the baby's still alive," and we're like, an hour later, and the baby's still alive. We were surprised. So
some people thought this was a pre-recorded video. No, Nick is now doing the stream. He's doing the Quantum Leap Revisited stream while also nursing a goat. This really happens on this show, and that's just one of the things that you can see on Quantum Leap Revisited.
We feature directors, actors, people behind the scenes, goat
you
farmers,
know what? This
everything. A little
this
bit of
may
everything.
be our biggest moment yet, if you really think about it. I mean, the guests were good, but come on, man. There's a baby goat.
No one will be seated during the thrilling baby goat feeding scene.
Even Tex Rogers is impressed.
Yep.
Okay, back to our show. We were talking about
another kid.
Another kid. Yeah. So now
I'd like to point out the moment of tonight's plot hole.
Yes.
Let's see. Not really a plot hole. I guess it's a kind of like a weird little continuity thing. When Al leaves, he uses his magic door, and the door is behind him. I guess it happens later. but then they show the shot of the baby, and then there's a light emanating from behind the camera where you assume it's Al's magic door. And then the light on the baby like shuts down, but then you go back to Al and he still has the door open. And a few
Where's
seconds
the
later,
part that Al tries to show him the lights?
That was when he leaves. Not
yeah,
showing
when
the
he
light.
leaves, showing the you mean
Right.
this?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about when he leaves.
When he
Like,
leaves,
when he
okay.
leaves, he opens his dimensional door and he
So
leaves.
when he's there,
Yeah.
We might
she
as well
comes
discuss
back.
what's going on. He's telling him that is he revealing
That
to
they're
them
kidnapped.
that they're going to go to prison for kidnapping?
Right.
And then he's like, "Oh, I understand why you're listening to her, Sam, but you're going to end up in jail."
Did
And
she
then-
leave with no front cover? Because I don't remember this dress when she left to go to the store. And all
Yeah,
of a
no,
sudden
she was wearing that.
was she?
She was
Oh,
walking around naked, and then she went in the bathroom and put something
okay,
on.
put that on. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, see, there she is. with the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
stuff and-
Yeah.
Yeah, she was wearing that thing. I mean, there's no reason for her not to. Okay, so what was the plot hole? You said that he leaves Al.
See, where did? Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Just play it because we'll see. We might be okay.
Okay.
No, then they cut back to the baby, and then the baby still has the light coming from Al.
Why would there be light on her though?
I mean, on the baby, right? That's just a weird little continuity
Mm.
mix up.
Still
You
doing
think
the
they
reflection.
used a shot of the baby from when Al was doing the lights?
No, it was supposed to be the interdimensional light,
the white light, not the
Right.
Ziggy lights.
right?
I see.
But again, not important.
Is
We can
it is
we
it
can
here? Where
continue.
we're supposed to see it?
It was back.
Well, Al's already left.
Yeah, Al's already left.
I didn't really see anything.
Right here. Keep going
Right
back a
before
little bit.
Before this. Yeah, there you go. That's the
Yeah.
spot. Nope. You're
Yeah.
Don't even move it. Just let it play.
Okay.
No, there you go.
Baby says bye. See, now he leaves.
The
You can
light's already
tell
gone out before
Yeah.
I-
he leaves. Yeah.
I
I think
see.
I thought it was just adorable that she was waving, and I assumed the light was just.
You know what, Ro? You're
part
on
of
to
the
something.
neon.
That
they
technically,
did that with the baby fairly well because when they were playing with the Ziggy lights, the baby was doing some little interplay too, like cutaways. And I remember reading something about off topic for a second. The baby in Willow, the original Willow,
Mhm.
they shot so many expressions of her doing like little side winks and things like that sometimes whenever Willow would be talking to the baby, Elora Danon, the expression of the baby was like spot on. And I remember reading that that they shot like a lot of footage of the baby, and then they kind of cherry picked like specific shots of the baby to use for reactions. So they did this. I'm assuming they did this kind of similar, but the baby playing with the lights and waving to Al as he leaves. A couple of them were done pretty well.
well,
Just
at
a
this
little,
point,
just a little side note.
point well taken.
Was he abusive in the past?
No, but she feeds him a story about being beaten in the past, and her father beating her and her sister. She's like tells him about later on.
And at this point, I think she also does tell him that it's not. He understands it's not her baby, correct?
Yes.
Well, I just
Hale.
couldn't leave him there with Reed. He was going to beat her all the time.
And he's like,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that we needed to take her. Though.
but in any case, she sells him this other story now.
Yeah, she is, as you'll see,
Compulsive liar. Yeah.
liar, which really affected my enjoyment of the overall episode.
But it's sort of an interesting thing in the sense that she's so untrustworthy. But the one thing that seemingly is so important to her, you're kind of wondering if that's true or not. and that really leaves it up in the air throughout the episode that you're not really sure how it's going to turn out because of how unreliable she is. But here she's like,
my pa used to be me and my sister, and I couldn't leave Christy to go through such a tough
blah blah blah, whatever it is. And
Julie would appreciate the impression.
I'm
Well,
sure she would.
I have so many customers that are like this. They're, you come out there and they tell you the story of why they need a key or something, and then it's all of a sudden like the story keeps changing, and it's like, wait, I thought you said this. And so when you deal with people like this, it's so hard. You want to help them, but it's like you get to a certain point where it's like, I don't know if I can trust you or believe anything you're saying.
Just so you know, Oro, that people were very impressed here that you caught on to that thing with the light and the Al's departure. I admit I didn't see it either. I really didn't notice it. But in any case,
Way
now
to go, Eagle Eye.
we're cutting to this Reed thing. He is like buddy with these cops. And he's like, come on, they're getting away. We don't have time. Gotta take off. Meanwhile, the other guy, the plump guy that, as script would say, would never be a police officer then in real life. He's taking a leak or dump or something. And
I hope
Do they have a
just
nickname for him? Do they call him Let's Go Joe or something like that?
Porkins.
Or Come On Joe?
I don't know if they had a nickname. And he's like, next time, don't drink so much coffee when you're on duty.
I only had 2 cups.
Right, something like that.
I only had 2 cups, sir.
In any case, they're driving in the thing, and they're with Christy. And is this the part where he thinks that she's asthmatic?
No, he wants to get a car seat.
Oh, this is still the car seat part.
We can't continue to do this without a car seat.
So then I guess they stop off at the store, and then they show up here, and she like does all the dumbest things possible because she's like talking,
Oh yeah. Later on, there's another kind of a weird little modern woke moment because she talks about Barbie not being realistic.
Yeah,
women were saying that
for
when
women.
Barbie came out, though. That's the thing. Like my
Sure.
grandmother used to, when my sister and I were being watched by her, which wasn't off because my sister is 8 years younger than me, and but when she would be 16, she'd still play or position her Barbies, and my grandmother would swing by and be like, "Man, she's like disliked Barbie ever since it came out in like 1959 or something. No woman can be that tall. No legs can be those long." And then my mom would chime in like, "She's been saying that since I was a kid." So like,
That's
yeah, it's pretty consistent.
Julie does her character in this is weird. Not just the lies that she tells, but the way she behaves. She's so excited about this Barbie that I was questioning her actions. So that could work as a positive for this episode because like the way she was obsessing over the Barbie, acting like or saying that the kid needs a doll to have, but she was so obsessing over it that I'm like, is she really like super self-centered? I still don't know how to read her yet.
I thought she was a little bipolar.
Or flaky.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, given, she's not a trustworthy source, but given what she said about her childhood, I kind of had a feeling that she was trying to live vicariously through the baby. She never had it type thing.
Mm-hmm.
The bipolar, it sounds interesting too, because like how obsessed she got with the doll, it was almost like she was moving from one thing that she wanted to another thing that she wanted to another thing that she wanted.
Yes.
Seemingly.
Yeah.
And once again, when they split, they got the doll, but they didn't get the car seat they were there for.
Yeah.
Now Ron Donofrio says that it's not uncommon for strippers. I guess the behavior.
No, I think he means that she was recognized by him.
Okay. So this is the part that he recognized her. Ain't you Bunny O'Hare? I like you better with your clothes off. And then he's like the kind of an Easton phobe. that this was an episode that had a lot of kind of modern day things in it. That would kind of be today also, that there would have to be some istanphobes. But then again, you wouldn't have Sam in the lead. Like you wouldn't have Scott Bakula wouldn't be on the show. You'd have other things going on. But
Well, Scott would be the isthenophobe or
right, he'd be the isthenophobe.
the bad guy.
Right, that's true. He'd be the evil man, and he's like winking at her. But in the meantime, she's like, "Come on, Christy, don't you want a Barbie doll?" Like she's saying the name. He knows who she is. It's like way too much information. They're not being very discreet here. And then he's like, they're not impressed with the 1963
Car seats.
car seats for kids. And meanwhile, as they're doing, and he's like, "Sam, don't you think that you need to question what she's doing?" And he's like, "Al, I want you to check any person that's named Margaret in the New Mexico. See if there's somebody Reed and blah blah blah." And for now, I guess Al can't find it. Al doesn't believe, but at this point, he's like, "Help me get out of here, Al." And he's like, "Well, there's a back door over there." So then, like, Sam takes the baby, and along with her, they go to the back door. Talk about a bit of a plot convenience here. This part that he just walks up to some guy and he's like, "Hey, I'll buy a car from you for $200. He's like, "Well, my father's really sick." So he's like, "All right, 210 sold."
I'll take it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, I mean, I know probably cars were cheaper in 1963, but $210 seems like quite a steal for a car, even if it's an older car or whatever.
I thought
I'm
it was
not
going to break down or something.
I'm not saying it's impossible. Considering that it had a nice paint job and somebody put a little bit of care into it, it just feels like somebody would have wanted more than $210 for it, but maybe I'm wrong.
It is scuffed up, like the roof is all messed up, and
it's old.
And they're working on the engine because it wasn't doing so well. So.
Right.
All right, I'll accept it. So at this point, they're like questioning the guy, and he's telling him everything about him. And then this Reed's guy's it's like,
There's been a murder at the toy store.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. It's almost like playing telephone.
This is the part that was kind of quote unquote woke, where she's like,
"Man, look at these unrealistic Barbies. Look at her feet or the size of her foot."
But she does say it's something to aspire to.
Right.
They would
Only
never say
semi,
that now.
yes. And then
bipolar.
And then I guess the song "Maybe Baby" is playing, and she's like,
Right.
she's like, "Oh, don't you remember you were singing? Can't you do that now?" And he's like, "What? Make love to you?" And he's like, "No, not make love in front of the tot." And then as she brings her forward, this is the part that I think he's like, "I think I hear her wheezing. Let me listen to my ear." And then like she puts here, "Yes, she's asthmatic, and we have to take care of that immediately." He doesn't speak like that, but like it's kind of just funny that he picked up on it. And she's like,
"Well, there ain't anybody here that can help us for miles."
And then they arrive at this veterinarian with the pigs, and then
that old guy is the old guy in so many movies.
Oh yeah, he's a distinct look. He's in everything. I think he's also blue in like Old School.
Yeah.
So at this point, he's like, "Don't you have something that we can give her, this and that?" She's like,
"I'm sorry, I just gave it to this dog."
And he's like,
epinephrine.
Epinephrine, right. And then the second she walks away, he has his eureka moment. And he's like,
"Well, I talked to the doctor, and she said that if we give this bronchulator coffee thing, then it's good, but only this once because it's bad for her or whatever," he tells her. And then they give her the coffee, and apparently that's good for her.
It's an old singular dose for asthmatic children. Is that if you don't have access to proper medication, you can do a one-time coffee treatment. It's not usually practiced much anymore because you don't want to get kids addicted to coffee.
No, of course
really
not.
Bad, unless you're Spanish, because that seems to be the thing that they do in the Latin community.
But I'll let you know. Script.
Oh well, I mean, one of my old coworkers at the publishing company was born in Ecuador, and he grew up drinking coffee before he never had milk without coffee for his entire life. He was also a short man, so I think they might have stunted his growth.
But yeah, supposedly coffee helps asthmatics for up to 4 hours.
Mhm.
I had asthma as a child. I never did the coffee thing because, we have Walgreens and I can just pick up a breathalyzer thing. But
Inhaler.
fancy
Breathalyzer
pants.
for alcohol testing.
CVS.
Well, I didn't know there was so much going on with coffee in the Latin community.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I know
cheese
that.
and
we're
everything.
serious. We're serious about it. Have you tried Cuban coffee? We're serious about that shit.
No, I don't think I didn't know if it was Cuban or not. I don't know. I must have had it, but I just don't really know. I don't drink a lot of coffee, so I'm probably not a good candidate for this.
I think I had it. It came in like almost a thimble, right?
Yep, that's all you need, baby. And then you can paint your house in 1 hour.
Now I have to try it. So at this
Yeah,
point, he's like,
Ron backs me up there. Cuban coffee is good.
They keep
Not-
playing up this.
Not for
joke,
babies
too.
though. Which joke?
The guy always having to
Pee.
Take
take
a
a
leak.
leak.
Oh yeah, I don't know why. What? Like, did they must have needed the police officer to kind of stay back. and
they
not
wanted to
catch
show
up
why
real-
they're always a step behind them, and why
Right.
Sam and Bunny are still a step ahead of them all the time.
Yeah, like how could a man that big have a bladder that small, right?
Yeah, true.
That is true.
Oh, then they needed money.
They needed money, and there's like an amateur talent show, $50 prize.
I
You know-
appreciate that they just had a balloon suit ready for the random girl that
You know,
would show up.
this is the one thing that I understand, that because it's network TV, they couldn't really go the full Monty here. But I don't know if everybody would be so excited if she walked out with
Right.
balloons. I think
Yeah.
that they would be looking for more natural balloons if she really wanted to win this prize.
Right.
Well, that's the routine is you popping them. It's
Right.
basically just another kind of striptease.
Right, but I only see like one person popping one balloon. It doesn't seem like what would really happen at this bar, but what can I do?
Yeah.
And then she does her thing. Maybe it's implied that there's more to it than what we're seeing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when Al arrives, just so we
Poor
get
Al.
that feeling that there was more than meets the eye here, Sam basically tells him that she's stripped, and Al gets really upset. He's like, "I'm the observer on this project, Sam. If anybody's
need to
going to strip, I have
observe."
to be here to observe it."
This is like Han Solo getting his vision back, and then everyone telling him that Leia was in a bikini.
What? Boba Fett.
And then as they're there, Reed shows up with the police officers, and at this point, there's a bit of a turning point because Al shows up and he confirms that actually, surprisingly, Bunny, with all of her nonsense, actually is telling the truth, and the real mother had this baby. He kidnapped her away from the mother, and
He's been saying that she died during childbirth.
which is a lie. He actually really kidnapped this girl. So basically, this lady was telling the truth. It's just she was so untrustworthy that we couldn't really believe her until now, and now Al believes her too. So at this point, they have to come up with a plan quickly, and Al just by talking to Sam, by talking to Al about the gun, she ends up pulling the gun out of the policeman's.
I think
Pocket.
we're hearing a echo from Nick.
I think so too.
Okay, maybe my mic's messed up.
Maybe the goats are repeating what I'm saying.
The goats are on their little laptops. They're listening to the show. They're typing with their hooves.
I'm gonna drop out and rejoin.
All right, sounds good. So Sam is, they have the gun. He also kind of does his little kick to take down Reed. But as he walks out,
He always does this roundhouse kick. It's like
Oh,
his
yeah.
go-to
Didn't he do it
move.
last? Didn't he do it last?
I
with
like
the
it.
circus?
I like
People?
the roundhouse kiss, roundhouse
Kiss.
kick. Personally,
Yes.
kiss.
I don't know
Yes.
what roundhouse kick is.
Roundhouse kiss is a good. Nobody's ever
It's like,
attempted a roundhouse
woo,
kiss.
wah.
Hey, Super Mario Brothers. So in any case, he does the roundhouse kick and runs out, and then Reed fires. And then the police officer here notices that something fishy is going. He's like, "You firing at a baby?" And
Your
then,
baby.
Yeah.
and then he runs out and he's
What the
like,
hell's wrong with you?
"I'm gonna need this car." And then they kicks these people out, and he gets in. I like that. Is that you, Ro, that did that cowboy thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all multi-talented here, man.
Right? No, I feel like I brought you on board to the cowboy impersonations on this show. In any case, they're here, and then he's like, "Sam, we finally found him. He was actually a crooked guy with real estate deals, and he conned people out of a lot of money, and he's wanted here, and he kidnapped a kid, and all that stuff." And then Sam's like, "Well, we're gonna bring her to the mother," and meanwhile, this guy is driving after them, and
I love when they do driving scenes, because I think they still do it. Well, maybe not. But when they used to do this,
Yeah.
it cracks me up back in the day. I mean, now obviously they put a vehicle on either a trailer car and film
they
it,
always
or
put them on the trailer,
But this
or they
is
throw them in front of a
hilarious.
green screen. Yeah.
yeah.
Does it does it drive you crazy if they don't look at the road?
Yes,
enough?
drives.
They're
I know
like
it drives
looking
my
at
wife
someone?
crazy. She's like, "Look at the road, damn it! Look at the road."
Well, yeah, he takes numerous long looks at her.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think
But-
it's just a dad thing. If you're a dad like in the 80s or something, because my dad, he would drive and then he would literally take his hands off the wheel and then turn his body to face me in the passenger seat,
God.
just have a conversation while on the highway. And
Yikes!
yet we never got into an accident. He never got into an accident his entire life driving.
It's like, look, check out that alignment, bitching.
well, there's also something to say that the cars now are a lot more touchy. They respond to, power steering has become so efficient. Yeah, but back then, like unless something in the road deviated, like the car would stay straight, and if you're on one of those country roads, it just goes on and on.
Mhm.
Good old manual steering. You gotta grab the wheel here and crank it over.
I feel like it would be fun to drive a car like this. Anyhow, at this point, I think is this the part where she radios people and she's like,
Yeah, the police.
"We
She's
kidnapped
like,
a child. We kidnapped a
Mhm.
child. Come find us." And then they arrive at this place, and this Reed guy is after them, and it seems like everything is doomed. But then the police arrive. I like this shot actually with Al in the car. I think it looks pretty good.
He
Yeah.
feels.
And then
He looks like he feels disrespected. He's like,
Right.
just park
I know,
it
that's what I
anywhere.
love.
Yeah.
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 And
And then-
this is funny. The sheriff recognizes Reed, and
I mean, I thought of it that it's very convenient. At the same time, they're at the house where the wife was, and maybe if this is a small town, maybe this is a place where he actually was. Meaning, maybe he used to live here, and maybe this sheriff of this small town would recognize him. It's very convenient, but I'm thinking that maybe that's the only way that it could work.
well, I mean,
Oh.
Reed apparently got disbarred in the entire state and then fled. So he would have had a wanted poster up at every single police department for. And remember, this happened within the last year because the baby's not even a full year old.
Right.
So yeah, he would. It's still fresh enough in the police officer's
It
mind.
is
to recognize.
possible. It's plausible that they know who he is, even though it is super convenient. And he's like, "Reed, I never thought I'd see you coming around
But
here."
they also had the massive real estate fraud that he committed. So
Right.
Yeah.
maybe the
120
sheriff invested in something and
invested in it, or investigated him. And the other part too is they're going to as technically the hometown. So yeah, this is where Reed was from. He should be
Right.
recognized by anybody if he steps out. So.
Right. He set foot here. They know who he is. They know what he's done. And if it's a small town and some sheriff and whatever, it makes sense that they would know. So it's all right. It's all right that they caught him here. It's not like a terrible thing. And then they bring it to the mom, the real one, and then he leaps, and it jumps back to like the second episode of this series, which is really odd that that's where he jumped back to. And then we have the closing credits, and that is it.
such a snotty baby for the entire episode.
Oh yeah, needed to wipe its nose.
Well, we had our episode today. I guess now we can just share some thoughts on it. Sean, how did you feel about this episode?
It's okay. It's not my favorite. I like Julie Brown. I usually like seeing her when anytime she pops up in something, and I thought she played it decent enough so that you were never quite sure what her intention really was, and yeah, it was all right.
Well, that sounded like a ringing endorsement. How did you feel about this one, Script?
It's a serviceable episode. It's a very simple plot with a lot of good character. This is clearly one of their lower budget episodes because they're only in a couple of locations throughout, but it's mostly in the in the car, doing a lot of car scenes and stuff. So, and they reused the pickup truck from the Native American episode. They just changed the cow paint job to something a bit more cleaner.
You're probably right.
But yeah, I mean, I thought this was it's a standard serviceable episode, not the best, but it's not by no far the worst.
It's not the new series.
I like that Ron Donofrio says that it's Quantum Leap meets Raising Arizona. Mm-hmm. You know, it is true that during those years there was that Coen Brothers movie Raising Arizona, and they go up the ladder and they steal the babies. It is different, but it sort of was a thing, and I don't know. I can see why somebody would say that.
Well, a lot of Quantum Leap episodes are actually reflections of very famous movies within that time period.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're not just a cheap swipe, rip off or anything. I feel like it does its own thing. It's not a one-to-one copy, and it usually isn't. So.
No, they play with the broader concept, which is, we've got a black man who drives a rich old woman who's got a certain portion in town, but that story, the movie Driving Miss Daisy, is between the relationship of those two characters. The one with Sam and Quantum Leap is a bit broader than that. It's a relationship between the town and him, essentially, and the proxy of Miss Elizabeth and what's going on here. This one, Raising Arizona, is more like, what if there weren't criminals? What if they're trying to do the good thing?
Right.
And that's the gimmick that allows this to be the same but different, right? So, and that's a common phrase in Hollywood. It's like, send me something the same but different.
Ron Donofrio says, good point, Script. Ro, how did you feel about this episode?
I didn't like it that much. Out of 10, I think I'd give it a 2. I think it was...
wow, this seems to be your least favorite episode to date.
I think it is, probably. I mean, even the ones that I thought were still at least a 3.8. This is a solid 2.
3.8. You're being brutal here. This is like such a good show. Like I wouldn't give it a 2, but I respect if that's what you want to give it.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Again, I think
which one would you have given a 3.8?
I'll have to go back into the archives and check. But I think episodes and shows with babies. Once the babies are introduced, it's like a whole different animal. And I know the baby was a big part of the plot. But I think I enjoyed other aspects of this show a little more, like the character of Sam and who he jumps into in relation to everything else. I just thought that it was too much of a babysitting episode, which didn't really give me anything new or fun to sink my teeth into. And I didn't like Julie Brown's character. She confused me a lot, and I wanted her to go away.
Baby MacGuffin.
Ro is starting to sound like me. I don't know what that means, Ro. You've become more cynical and grumpy. I think that you've absorbed some of my energy.
Talking cowboy and telling people
you're
this
talking
sucks.
Cowboy and you're grumpy and you don't like things. Soon you'll have like a orange face and a crown. Nick, how did you feel about this episode?
I mean, I'm going to reflect some of the other things, but I don't think I'm as harsh as Ro. But I recall there was an episode before that we were like, this is not our favorite. And I think that's the one Ro's thinking of because we were all kind of consistent on that too. But can't remember which one it is.
The frat one?
Was it?
You guys all hated the
um,
frat one, and that was the week that I missed, and I was like,
Yeah.
no, this one was great.
Yeah, that's probably it. I like movies that do, the 3 Men and a Baby type, humor. And I feel like it didn't hit here. It didn't seem believable that Sam was that stunned by a baby. And they did the one joke of the baby peeing on him. I think they actually did it twice.
Mm-hmm.
But
Once
back to back.
Poop.
Yep. But he just was in complete staring at it. It was long. It was drawn out. And I think it was Ro that said that, that scene shouldn't have been that long. There could have been more scenes about the baby crying or, there's a lot of jokes that you can have with a guy that's never been around a baby suddenly having to take care of a baby.
Yeah. Always
And
have a piece of cheese or salami nearby when you have a kid, because when it starts crying,
Yeah.
just whip it on its face and it will stop because it's confused. It's literally
That's so mean.
It's not a meme. It's not just a meme, but it literally works. Like I did this with all my god kids when they would cry. You just grab a piece of cheese or salami, toss it on their face, and you just stop.
Subscribe for more parenting tips.
Right.
Yes, don't forget to subscribe to Price of Reason Live, where we talk about fatherhood.
And go
But
for it.
yeah. So, but and then the baby just kind of became back. It was in the car with him, but it didn't really feature. And when it did, I was frustrated that they didn't actually grab. He had the car seat in his hand, and they didn't actually take it with him.
Right.
They stole the Barbie, but they didn't steal. Yeah, but it's just one of those things that when we got to the end, the episode got better for me. But there is something about they wanted to have a plot twist, but the plot twist made you frustrated through the episode because this woman, at first you think she's the mother. Or maybe she's just wanting the baby and she's stealing it, and then it keeps going on, and there's a point there where you don't know if she's right or not, or if this guy's bad. And then as we get about the halfway point, when we're in the scene where the sheriff confronts him and they pull the gun, it kind of comes together, and you kind of go, okay, but she's still lying, she's still telling, and so you're frustrated. But then at the end, even when she's telling, oh, she wasn't the babysitter, she was, my paid escort, and
she didn't take care of the baby, she took care of me.
Yeah,
that's what
it's still this lady's a little crazy. She shouldn't it felt like this whole episode was putting the child in danger. It had the happy ending, but it was a very weird how that was, and I get the concept is funny in premise. I feel like they didn't fully tap on the baby situation, compared to the episode where he leaped in a mom and they had the toddler, and that was gold. All the little jokes with the toddler and having to deal with her in that episode were great. I feel like they didn't do enough of that with the baby, but I didn't hate the episode. I didn't, it just, this is one of, if I were to make a bottom 5 of what we've done so far, this would be in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I had to give my opinion, I think that I agree with Sean here. I like Julie Brown, and I think that seeing her here, I liked her here. She didn't bother me. I mean, I have to say that she was one of the writers, along with her brother, as a producer here. So if I had criticism, it's probably also towards her in terms of the writing of the character. I agree that they tried to make it so mysterious and so unreliable that at some point it kind of loses something, that it's so kind of all over the place. At the end, out of all of her lies, it turns out that this thing was true, but somehow along the way, when you keep seeing her lying, it's almost too much.
Well, it's part of the screwball comedy in the sense that you don't you don't understand where it's going, but by the time you get to the ending, everything that felt like a plot thread ties itself up at the end and makes sense. And it's a really difficult type of comedy to write. It's why they're rarely done and they're really successful. The best one I think is like It Happened One Night, and that's in the 50s. So the fact that we haven't had many since then shows how difficult it is to kind of nail this. And I would say this, they get an A for effort, but yeah, it wasn't one of the strongest executions of how to do this type of this story.
No, but I liked her. I just think, yes, this could have been done better. And yes, there were some conveniences here, one after the other that, I mean, it's not that you've never seen conveniences or things that kind of help the plot move along, but I really do feel like in this one, there was just a bit more than we're used to seeing on the show. They kind of had this almost, like you said, like a different type of vibe here. Like it's a comedy movie that like you're not supposed to take it too seriously, but Quantum Leap, you kind of do take it seriously. So that kind of, like you said, screwball comedy in this show, the way they did it, maybe they could have done it better.
I don't know that would have worked with Sam's character, though. The way he's always played is he's very concerned about what he's there to do. And
he takes his stuff seriously.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's why he puts so much faith in the fact that he's supposed to get this baby. Because why would he be there in the middle of pulling the baby out of the room just to turn around and go, "Oh, here it is back." Yeah. So he's convinced it must be that I'm supposed to steal this baby. But the more and more like evidence that we're getting along the way, until, like I said about that, I don't know if that was half or 3/4 of the way when they have the scene where the cops confront them. Up until that point, it seemed like all evidence pointed to the fact that this lady was crazy and he just assisted her in kidnapping somebody's baby.
Well, he said he's going to follow his gut until Al can come up with something better, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a serviceable enough episode. I wouldn't give it a 2 like what Rose said. I think it's fine. But I can also understand why when you make the lists of the top 5, top 10 episodes of the series, I don't know if this will be in a lot of people's lists. But it is what it is. And I always appreciate that this show tries different things. And, you get 1 week, maybe you like it more, you like it less, but then the next week you get another one. And that's what's great about this show. So there's a lot of great episodes too.
I will say in this episode's defense, along with last week's, you guys all praised last week's. Of course, you had the writer on, but my life's been real hectic and crazy. I think I watched last week, still trying to make it to your guys's, but I watched it like at 1 a.m. and I kept going, if she says the triple one more time, I'm gonna rage quit this episode.
I have to do the triple.
I was like, can you say anything else in life? But I realized after, I was like, I think that was just my mental state watching that. And then when you guys were like praising it on the stream, I'm like, I'm kind of glad I missed last week because I was just in a negative spot for that. And this one, I was tired too. I didn't dislike this. Like, I didn't walk away and turn it off and go, man, that was a waste of 45 minutes. It's one of those things, though. When we get to the end of this and I were to decide, you know what, I want to not do a week to week, I want to just binge through the whole episodes with my wife or something. This one would come on and I'd probably want to skip. I have a friend, we're both watching through TNG right now, and he hasn't watched it in like 20 years. And I've watched it like every 3 years I go through it. So there's like certain episodes that I go, oh, this episode's going, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. And he watches, oh, I thought it was amazing. And I go, yeah, it's just one that played a lot on reruns, and it's not that exciting. So it's like he loved Data's Day. That was one he was like, this is like the most, like, he was ranting about it for 2 weeks about how much he loved that episode. Because we just did that like I said 2 weeks ago. He's still talking about it. And but there's some that it's like I've just seen that one so many times, and it's not it's not one where anything like super impactful to the franchise happened. Really. And I'm a big Voyager fan, and I'll watch Voyager, but there's like a lot of episodes of that I skipped through on Rewatch.
Like the first
But
couple of seasons, probably.
well, yeah,
The Neelix
about
episode.
half the episodes. See, I'm not somebody who hates Neelix, but
You're supposed to.
but the first couple of seasons, once they got rid of Kess, his character got immensely better. But anyway, back to Quantum Leap. This is just one of those things where, like, I could see this as an episode that if I'm rewatching this constantly, this would be one I go, oh, that's the next episode. Either I'm going to hit skip, or if I'm pushing myself to watch every one, then suddenly I'm going to take like a 3-day break and watch some other show. So just because it was fine, but I wouldn't call it rewatchable.
Mhm.
What's really going to kill you about Rose 2 is it's on a scale of 100.
Is he for next week? Did he jump into Indiana Jones's body?
It's that episode where he's the
That's-
college professor with Terry
Yeah.
Hatcher.
The second episode of the series, we've done it.
Oh,
the one
did
with
we?
Terry Hatcher.
Oh. Was that the one?
Yep, that's how it
That's how
started.
they
That was
cut
the
it
Terry
together,
Hatcher
yeah.
one.
All right.
It was when he was the creepy professor that liked
Yeah.
the students.
Yes.
And it's
That-
funny. I didn't think it was creepy until I saw his reflection, and then I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that's creepy."
Right. I mean, when you see him as Sam Beckett, you kind of forgive him a bit, but once you
Right.
see him as the like old drunk
Older.
guy, you kind of it doesn't seem as good. I don't know if that narrative would fly today. Even if he is time traveling, I think that somehow it wouldn't get made that way. But yeah, it's a rerun. He's going to be in a different thing next week, so that's not the one we're seeing next week. But it's going to be interesting to watch the one next week. I haven't watched that one in a while, so I myself have to kind of remember. I generally remember it, but it's good that I'm gonna do a rewatch so I can familiarize myself more with it. I think overall, we've kind of gone over it. It was a very simple episode. I don't know if there was a lot really to sometimes we dissect more, sometimes we dissect less. I think this one was a very straightforward episode. There's nothing really underneath the surface that's very philosophical or nuanced or complicated. It's very kind of a road trip type of thing where they're both going from here to there. That guy is chasing them, and it is what it is. I guess if any of you have any final comments on it, you can make them.
There's a question in the chat when when Nick was talking about Star Trek and Ron Donofrio was said, "Tardis, don't you sleep?" It's just always rewatching Star Trek.
Well, I sleep like 4 hours a night, but 4 to 5. But no, that's usually like my thing. I put sci-fi on constant repeat. You know, my wife does stuff like Friends and that kind of thing, and but I do classic sci-fi. So I always have Star Trek, Stargate, you know, stuff like that going on, Doctor Who. And there's something to be said of like in the evening when everything's winding down, I like something that is something I've already seen. So that's one of the things I have to make a point to watch this. And I got to change the watch time because I watch The Night Owl and then I watch Quantum Leap on Tuesday. And Price keeps making The Night Owl longer and longer. Getting towards the end, I'm like, am I going to be able to stay up to watch Quantum Leap?
I'm trying to keep it lower, more like 2 hours. But yeah, sorry about
Yeah.
that, man.
He also says, "Dude, even God rested on the 7th day."
Oh, I take Saturday afternoon naps.
Backyard Tardis sleeps
Anybody
when he's
else?
not awake.
Anything about the episode?
I would say that this episode showcases the need for the proper family structure. We see this lady; she's messed up. She's one, she's making her living being an escort for men.
Well, she was actually making
And-
a living as a stripper, but she was seduced by this guy. Like she said she dated him and then tried to leave. So
Yeah,
we don't know if that's true or not, but yes.
we're out of money, and she's like, "Oh, pull over. There's a bar. I can go strip." But obviously, she says she was abused, and it's had a lasting effect because she can't tell a straight story, and mental health is a big thing, and kids need proper family structure, because I deal with this as a locksmith. This is something I deal with constantly, whether it's from an eviction, whether it's somebody lost their car keys, and I show up and they're like, "Oh yeah," they'll start telling me stories one right after the other, and they'll say, "Yeah, I lost my car keys yesterday. I show up and the car's on blocks," and it's just one of these things that, like, she felt like a customer that I have dealt with many of times.
Sometimes
that's my last.
Sometimes I call Nick when he's on the job and I ask him silly questions, and he's nice enough to answer, even when I bother him. One time he was in Costco and he was really busy, and I still called him and asked him about all this stuff, and that was the one time that I feel I kind of annoyed him. But even so, he was still polite and nice, even though I felt like that it was annoying underneath the surface, that it was annoying him.
No, I didn't mind talking to you while I was in Costco. It's when I got out of Costco and got back in the car with my wife that she was like, "Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to?"
Oh, I guess I didn't realize that your wife was with you at the Costco. Maybe now I can understand why this whole situation was awkward.
She sent me in to go get a cake, and I came out to the car with a cake, and I was talking to you.
Are you asking lock questions in the middle of the day? You're like, "Oh, I gotta call Nick."
Yeah. There was something. There was something about it. Like, I saw a thing with the bathroom that there was a problem with the faucet, and I was asking Nick about it, and it's like Nick is just whenever there's something that I don't know what it is, it's like I call Nick. It could be anything. It could be like some kind of a car thing, or there's like a faucet that doesn't work, or like a door that I don't know how to open. Like all this weird stuff, you just get that calls for me, and I start sending him pictures of like weird things, and I'm like, "Nick, what do I do?" And he's like, "I don't know."
Call a locksmith.
Push the door instead of pull.
You joke, but I have customers that do that. Like they'll call me and they'll go, "I've got this going on. Have you dealt with that before?" Like, you seemed very handy when you were over here doing the locks.
I mean, the thing is, you give off this vibe that I feel like out of the two of us, you're going to have a better answer than I will. So if I ask you, like, maybe you'll know. There's more of a chance than if I'll know, I won't know. So, like, maybe you'll know. There's at least a chance that some kind of intelligent answer is going to pop up if I show it to you rather than if I just show it to myself. So that actually happens.
Nick needs to start charging consulting fees.
You should. Nick is my advisor of the dumbest stuff. Like, he doesn't even know what I'm sending him or why. Like, I feel bad for him, but it's okay. He's polite and he's nice about it, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody here on this panel and everybody in this chat. So many great people showed up today. From Tex Rogers, Ron Donofero, Lisa Catrayan, Super Mario Brothers 3, Joshua Calkins, Matthew Marcillo. We had Malachi D. Waldman here. Scribelight popped in for a second. He's a friend. Did I miss anybody?
Mur Rockstro?
Oh, Mur Rockstro was here.
You're getting better at it, Price. You didn't even have to slow down when you said Lisa's name.
Yeah, no. I think I'm onto something here. And yeah, so basically a lot of great people here today in the chat. And Tex Rogers, he enjoys the interaction in the chat. We've won him over.
Enjoy that, because when this channel blows up, that chat's going to be flying by. You're going to have to be tagging people.
Murroxtra says, "Good job pronouncing my name, Sean. You did it.
Hey, ding!
You did
Need a
it."
bell.
And I guess on this positive note, we can just. Sean, is there anything you want to plug?
You can check out the YouTube channel. You can buy stickers if you want that Nick is showing off. I am working on starting a mailing list so that I can crowdfund my comic finally. So hopefully look for that mailing list soon, as soon as I figure out how to make that happen. And yeah, that's about it. I'm trying to figure out a new type of video to do on the channel. I'll probably start reviewing the stack of indie comics that I have that I've not gotten around to reading yet.
Oh, cool.
What
All right.
companies? What companies?
Independence. And I was going to call it Indie Ketchup, and the logo is going to be a bottle of ketchup.
Ooh.
I already like it.
With a fedora on it?
Would you like some comics with your ketchup? All right.
Next, Script Doctor, what do you have going on?
Well, this Saturday, I got Script on Saturdays. We're back to the live show because last week was a recorded episode. So yeah, come check us out there as we delve into a comedy script, or at least it's supposed to be a comedy script, about two female best friends whose friendship is on the rocks when one of them falls in love with a handsome young man.
And your guest is CC Karaoke, right?
That's correct. This week, CC Karaoke returns after his recovery from a skiing incident. So he is with us to share his thoughts on that script tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern.
And CC got a silver play button today, so congratulations to him. I think, if I'm not mistaken, CC once made an appearance on this stream on Quantum Leap Revisited.
Yes.
He was nice enough to join us.
My fill-in.
Yes, that's right. You couldn't make it, and CC came kind of last minute and stepped in. CC is a really nice guy. Really like CC, so always happy. It'll be interesting to see you and CC on your show, Script.
Oh yeah, this will be, I think, his second appearance.
Right. I'm already like a three-timer on your show.
I think so. Yeah.
Hard to
Humble
believe.
brag.
Like, you invited me back. I couldn't believe it. You begrudgingly invited me back.
Oh, of course, yes.
And then I guess, Ro, what do you have going on?
Just just the podcast. I would love for folks to kind of look through our back catalog over at the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast and look through topics and see if it's something that you want to listen to. We have some deep discussions for the most part. We're despite popular beliefs, we are not shills. We don't love everything Star Wars, and we like to talk about what we love and discuss some things that we don't from time to time. So we're pretty level-headed. We're pretty level-headed, going into things, obviously excited for new things, but when we don't like something, we'll make a list and we'll tell you about it. So that's about it.
We'll give it a 2 out of 100.
2 out of 100. Damn it!
I am enjoying that Brad is back. That's Ro's original co-host, but he's in the Navy, so he constantly has to take breaks from the podcast as he's deployed. But he's unapologetically truthful and baby-faced. So
the only co-host that hasn't blocked me.
Yeah.
And Tim's Talk is here, so how's it going, Tim? Tim's Talk.
What's up, Tim?
So, yeah, nice to see that. Super Mario Brothers 3 is disappointed that I haven't gotten Scott Bakula to make an appearance on this stream. You know, we can only hope that one day such a thing would happen, but that would be really, really, really something special.
It's only season 2, man. Got 3 more seasons.
Right. We got it. Let's build this thing. Let's continue to build it. By the time that series finale airs, maybe he'll ask us if he could join.
That would be something. Getting him on for the last episode would be fantastic because he's probably got a lot of thoughts.
If I did that, I think that I would cement myself as, the man.
if that happened. But
If you manage to do that, I would promise not to say anything negative about Enterprise.
Your
if
show
he
gets so
shows up,
big that
you'll say that you like Enterprise.
your
I
show
didn't
gets
say
so
that.
big. He's like, have
doing
you heard
a-
about this quantum leap thing?
I'm doing an Enterprise rewatch, and it's a lot better than I remember it.
It is a good show. I really enjoyed it.
It shouldn't have been called Enterprise though. It should have just been Star Trek something else. But I liked the cast a lot. I think it had some writing issues because they didn't know exactly what they wanted to do. I think Malcolm Reed was probably the worst character on the bridge of senior staff bridge crew ever. But I really liked Tucker as the engineer. I thought he was really inventive and clever and fun.
I liked Tucker. I liked DePaul. I liked Scott Bakula as Archer. I
Tucker,
thought that was...
everything happens to him. Like he's pregnant. He makes out with all the ladies.
He's the Miles O'Brien of Enterprise because a lot of horrible stuff happened to Miles in Deep Space Nine. So
Yeah. No, Tucker is my favorite. I actually kind of liked Reed, though he did have a little bit of a stuck-upness. But I kind of sometimes when stuff would happen to Reed, it would be funny in a way. But
really,
I would say I do think it was a really good cast. And what we have to do, though, to get Scott on is exactly what the people did to Tocqueville. So Scott has to start his own Quantum Leap podcast, and we all have to become patrons at the tier that allows us a guest appearance. And then live on a stream, we have to invite him onto ours.
All right.
Step one, get a new job.
We got a few years to try to put this thing together. Yeah. Hopefully it'll work.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't work like Tocqueville because you don't have Dean Stockwell there to riff off of Scott. That's how it is.
Yeah, true.
Right? So,
True.
But in any case, I think that we've gone over the episode, and as usual, it's been a really fun time hanging out with everybody here, both on the panel and in the chat.
You need to plug Nick, or let Nick plug.
Oh, that is true. Nick, what do you have going on? I apologize. Sean, you are correct. Well, what's going on?
Well, I've things have been crazy lately, so I'm just starting to settle down. So hopefully I'll have something going on my Backyard Tardis channel soon. But kind of co-opting with Smallville, I have my Locksmith Reacts to Hollywood of discussing some superpower that apparently Clark Kent has that can open locks in a way that locks can't be opened. And so that'll drop tomorrow morning.
Nice.
And it's not through strength, right?
No, he broke it in a way that would make it so that the door would not open. And so I was like, but that wouldn't open it.
That's why they call him.
But you see that a lot.
Oh, I like this. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
You could just push the door and it opens anyways. It doesn't matter. You don't need to
so as I said, Nick has his two channels, Backyard TARDIS and the channel Adventures in I messed that up. Adventures in Locksmithing, and you should subscribe to both of them. It's always nice to see everybody here. As I was saying, the chat, the panel, and we'll see you all next week. There's another interesting episode, and we'll see you next time on Quantum Leap Revisited. Now let me just find our outro, our official outro song. And are you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm such an awesome